Welcome back, my friends. Can Samsung grab the lead in semiconductor manufacturing? Well, Samsung's $17 billion new chip fab is under construction in Taylor, Texas. Samsung is building a $17 billion chip fabrication plant, or fab, in Taylor, Texas, where it's promised to start the first U.S. production of advanced chips next year. In February, applications opened for companies like Samsung to get their cut of the $52.7 billion CHIPS and Science Act, passed by lawmakers last year with the aim of bringing chip manufacturing to the U.S. after 30 years of market share losses to Asia. Samsung is also adding capacity in its home country of South Korea, spending $228 billion on a mega cluster of 5 new fabs that are scheduled to come online by 2042. What does it mean for the economy? And what does it mean for the future of the United States? But before we get into all of that, please press the like button and leave us a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. And, before we continue, a word from the sponsor of this video. Today's sponsor is InnerLife.com, creator of the InnerLife STS system. InnerLife STS is a cloud mobile platform for mental health care and its integration with primary medical care. InnerLife STS is designed for assessment, data collection and analytics, documentation, and progress tracking. InnerLife STS creates and composes conceptualized narratives and builds them into professional-grade reports. These reports are designed for use by mental health professionals, primary care physicians, justice system professionals and universities and include mental health assessment reports, mental health treatment reports, and treatment progress reports. And InnerLife STS uses doctor-selected pseudonames for all patients. So, only the healthcare professional knows the patient identity. Samsung's brand is everywhere. From Galaxy phones and smart TVs to washing machines and refrigerators, the company says its products can be found in nearly 3/4 of U.S. households. But Samsung is much more than gadgets and appliances, and there's another reason why it's one of the world's most valuable companies. It's the second biggest maker of chips that are powering so many popular devices. For more than 3 decades, Samsung has been a leader in memory chips, which are used for digital data storage. But that's been a market in turmoil. Over the last year, prices for memory chips have taken a dive, and they're expected to fall up to 23% more in the current quarter. In April, Samsung reported dismal earnings for the first quarter, with profit plunging to its lowest level since 2009. Samsung responded by cutting production of memory chips. Amid the wreckage, the giant company has found growth in another corner of the semiconductor market, doubling down on its foundry business, the side that makes custom chips for massive customers like Qualcomm, Tesla, Intel and Sony, as well as thousands of smaller players. They're spending and spending and spending, said Dylan Patel of research and consulting firm Semi-Analysis. And why is that? So they can catch up on technology, so they can continue to maintain their leadership position. Samsung is one of only 3 companies that manufacture the world's most advanced chips, ranking second behind Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company and ahead of Intel. Now Samsung is setting its sights on catching TSMC. We do not settle to be number 2, said John Taylor, Samsung's corporate vice president of fab engineering, in an interview. Samsung is never satisfied with number 2 as a business, as a company. The company announced an ambitious new roadmap in October, pursuing a goal to triple capacity of leading-edge manufacturing, and to make industry-leading 2-nanometer chips by 2025 and get them down to 1.4 nanometer by 2027. Samsung got its start in 1938 as the Samsung Sangho Trading Company, founded by Lee Byung-chul in Korea. Samsung got its start 85 years ago, when founder Lee Byung-chul created it as a trading company for exporting fruit, vegetables and fish in Korea. Samsung Electronics was established in 1969, the first Samsung TV came out in 1972, and 2 years after that Samsung bought Hankook Semiconductor in a bold effort to establish the vertically integrated consumer electronics giant the company is today. Samsung opened its first U.S. offices in New Jersey in 1978. By 1983, it was making 64 kilobytes dynamic random access memory, DRAM, chips, which were commonly used in computers, and the company had a new U.S. office in Silicon Valley. And now Samsung is the world's biggest smartphone provider, going head-to-head with Apple. Just a decade after making its first memory chip, Samsung was coming to market with a version that had 1,000 times the capacity. It gained international acclaim in 1992 with the world's first 64 megabytes DRAM chip, placing the company squarely in first place in memory, where it remains today. Samsung started making chips in the US with its fab in Austin, Texas, which broke ground in 1996. It opened a second fab in the Texas capital city in 2007. Today, Samsung's Austin operation is entirely devoted to foundry. In 2018, the company finally ended a 7-year legal battle with Apple over whether Samsung copied the iPhone. Apple got a payment from Samsung, so Apple technically won, Kane said. But when you add up all the legal costs, all the fighting, all those years, it was just a neutral 0-on-0 for both sides. Challenges haven't been limited to the courtroom. And during the pandemic, Samsung was hurt by the global chip shortage as demand peaked and the supply chain was disrupted. When you look at your customers asking for more chips, but there's no way you can provide that, it was so painful. That dynamic is changing. As consumers rein in their spending in the face of rising inflation, demand for memory chips has weakened sharply. Han said Samsung's internal data analysis shows the market will rebound possibly by end of this year. Investors have already been coming back. The stock dropped almost 30% last year, alongside a broader decline in the global tech industry. The shares are up 28% this year and hit a 52-week high on June 5 on the Korea Stock Exchange. Morgan Stanley recently named it a top pick. Part of the rally may reflect the latest chapter in the geopolitical chip war between China and the US. In May, China banned products from US memory maker Micron, which led to a stock pop for Samsung. The US also granted Samsung a 1-year waiver to operate its 2 chip fabs in China, despite new rules in October that stop many chip companies from exporting their most advanced technology to the world's second biggest economy. Samsung says it's adding capacity in Taylor, Texas, which is northeast of Austin, because of US demand. More than 90% of advanced chips are currently made in Taiwan. Over the last 3 decades, the US share of global chip production has plummeted from 37% to just 12%. That's largely because estimates show it costs at least 20% more to build and operate a new fab in the US than in Asia, where labor is cheaper, the supply chain is more accessible and government incentives are far greater. The CHIPS Act is helping us to overcome the differences in construction costs that we get out of Asia versus the United States, Samsung said. Chip manufacturing will also get cheaper in the US if more companies in the supply chain expand domestically. Intel is building big new fabs in Arizona, Ohio, and Europe. TSMC is spending $40 billion on new chip fabs in Arizona. Of the $17 billion total price tag for Samsung's Taylor fab, $11 billion is going to machinery and equipment. That investment includes chip building machines made by Applied Materials, which just announced a $4 billion semiconductor facility in Silicon Valley, the biggest the region has seen in decades. The highest price pieces of equipment Samsung will bring into Taylor are probably the $200 million EUV lithography machines made by ASML. They are the only devices in the world that can etch with enough precision for the most advanced chips. Each EUV machine is rated to consume about 1 megawatt of electricity, which is 10% more than the previous generation. One study found Samsung used more than 20% of South Korea's entire solar and wind power capacity in 2020. Texas's energy grid is largely cut off from its neighbors, limiting its borrowing power across state lines. In 2021, that grid failed during an extreme winter storm, leaving millions of Texans without power and causing at least 57 deaths. Water is another major need for chip fabs. In 2021, Samsung used about 38 billion gallons of water to make its chips. Roughly 80% of Texas remains stricken by drought. Samsung told CNBC its goal in Austin is to reuse more than 1 billion gallons of water in 2023. At the new Taylor fab, it aims to reclaim more than 75% of the water used. Of late, all the hype in technology has been around artificial intelligence models to power services like OpenAI's ChatGPT. Those applications require even more powerful processors, made primarily as of now by NVIDIA. To stay ahead of the game, you've got to get into the newer logic technologies. Kane said he sees Samsung diving deeper into the logic chip segment. So, that's the AI chips, the future applications for semiconductor technology. When asked about what's next, Samsung's Taylor said the company eventually plans to add more chip manufacturing capacity at its 1,200-acre site in Texas. There seems to be a flurry of new investment in semiconductors these days. A blockbuster profit report Wednesday from NVIDIA crystallized an important point for both markets and the economy. For better or worse, artificial intelligence is the future. Whether it's personalized shopping, self-driving cars, or a broad array of robotics uses for healthcare, gaming and finance, AI will become a factor in virtually everyone's lives. NVIDIA's massive fiscal first quarter earnings helped quantify the phenomenon as the firm nears an elite cast of tech leaders with $1 trillion market valuations and clear leadership status both on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley. Some of the changes Blitz foresees are reduced demand for foreign labor, at point of sale, effect where coding and creative writing can be done by machines instead of people, and a host of other activities that go beyond what appears obvious now. Development of products such as OpenAI's ChatGPT, a chatbot that converses with the user, has helped bring home the potential. For NVIDIA, the upside already has been apparent. Initially, NVIDIA focused on developing GPUs for gaming and consumer graphics applications. Their GPUs were highly regarded for their performance and became popular among gamers and computer enthusiasts. Over time, NVIDIA expanded its product line to include GPUs for professional visualization, data center, and artificial intelligence (AI) applications. But, what do you think? Please leave us a comment below and hit the like button. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Please share this video on social media. Thank you for watching.